I'm Melly O'Brien. I'm the host of the Deep Resilience podcast. And in this podcast, I'm going to be sharing with you the right tools, skills, and insights that you need to stay mentally strong, no matter what life is throwing your way right now. I'm here to support you, coach you, and comfort you as you navigate through the hard times of your life. I am really happy to be sitting here right now and taking this moment of connecting not only with you all as a community, but also having this time to connect with our inner strengths. I read the news headlines recently and it was difficult. And so I really take these moments, when I sit down and make a podcast, I sometimes just sit here and really take a moment of appreciation for the fact that, yes, there are very many challenges and stresses in this world that we go through. At the same time, it's wonderful to be connected with a community of like-minded people and to feel the support of these incredible practices that we have access to that help us stay strong and stay more loving and sane and wise and skillful in the middle of it all. So today I am offering you 3 tips for working with dark or disturbing thoughts, because when I am coaching with clients, when I'm teaching meditation, when I'm teaching about resilience, I notice that a concern that comes up for a lot of people is, how to work with their darkest thoughts, the ones that make them feel ashamed for even having them, or they feel really intimidated or frightened by them. And this really, for many people, feels like it can destabilize their ability to remain resilient in the face of difficulty. So I just want to start off with a caveat here. And the caveat is that a big part of the work I do is helping people to become mentally strong. So deep resilience is what I teach most these days. And that is a state of mental, emotional, and spiritual integration and strength. So one aspect of this is mental strength. How do you work with your thoughts skillfully? And so this is obviously a much bigger topic than I can capture in a podcast episode. This is part of the training that I do through my courses and my retreats and my coaching. But what I do want to do here today is to give you a tip, or actually 3 tips that are a foundational way to relate to any dark and disturbing thoughts that are coming up for you so that you can stabilize, so that they don't dominate you and take you over. So this is a really good foundational place to start. So one of the training grounds for learning to handle your thoughts more skillfully is meditation practice. Meditation is a great training ground. If dark and disturbing images and thoughts are coming up in life, we can also start to train ourselves to handle them better in our meditation practice. So meditation-based practices are a big part of the work that I do in helping people transform mental patterns and our relationship to those patterns, and also to galvanize new patterns. So of course, meditation is a really great training ground because we really learn to hone in and work with these thoughts in meditation in a particular way. And then we can apply those lessons from meditation into how we work with those thoughts in life, in daily life. So meditation is a really great training ground and practice ground for the rest of our lives. And when we've been doing any inner work, whether it's meditation or other kinds of inner work, observing the mind for a while, it's pretty quickly that you really begin to see how the mind is very, shall we say, abundant in content. Lots of different thoughts, lots of different images, lots of different impulses, lots of different emotions all coming and going. That's totally normal. Now, some kinds of thoughts we might feel quite comfortable with. We see them as an okay part of ourselves and our psyche. So we are more prone to just accept them or even encourage them. Thoughts that bring about pleasant emotions, for example. And sometimes we even indulge in those thoughts, right? Other thoughts can make us feel uncomfortable. So we might be shocked by the type of thoughts arising in the mind. We might think there's something wrong for us for having these thoughts that come up in the mind. We might be surprised by how critical, aggressive, judgmental, insecure, or selfish these thoughts are when they arise. So these thoughts may stir up emotions as well, like fear or anger or guilt or unworthiness. We may not want these thoughts to come up in the mind. We don't want these thoughts to be a part of our psyche, a part of who we are. So what we tend to do then is we reject them. We resist them. We start to struggle with them. We beat ourselves up for having them, being a bad person, for having bad thoughts, right? So all of these can be responses that come up to these unwanted or difficult thoughts. But of course, here's the thing I really want to assert here is that as long as we are judging ourselves when we're having disturbing thoughts, we're simply actually creating just another layer of thinking on top of the thoughts that are already there, that are already uncomfortable, right? So we've already got this uncomfortable thought. Now we're adding judgment on top of it, or worry on top of it, self-criticism on top of it. So now we've got another layer of disturbing and uncomfortable thoughts, and we're just kind of piling on these storylines into the mind, creating more disturbance, more turmoil, more noise in the mind. Now, the simple reality is that, unpleasant as it is, we all have dark thoughts sometimes. They're just part of the conditioning of a normal human mind. And, when we go through hard times or stressful things, it's really normal to have an influx of difficult thoughts and feelings. Just like it's normal sometimes for the sky to sometimes have dark clouds pass through it, storms and lightning, and it doesn't define or affect the clarity, the expansiveness, and the stillness of the sky. The sky remains the same. So too, your dark thoughts, no matter what their content, do not touch, do not affect, do not define, and certainly don't defeat or even affect in any way your deeper nature as awareness itself. Deeper part of you is never touched by any of those thoughts. So in deep resilience training, the work that I do with people, deep resilience, by the way, is the name I give to the state of mental, emotional, and spiritual integration and strength. I call that deep resilience. So in deep resilience training, what we learn to do is we learn to stop struggling with those cloud-like dark thoughts, those stormy thoughts, and we just we touch into the strength of that sky-like deeper awareness so that you find a steadiness and a stability and a groundedness there so that you're guided by that strength instead of governed by those thoughts. But the tip I really want to offer you today, 3 tips I want to offer to you today. This starting point is just instead of judging yourself or struggling with the thoughts, you want to see if you can let go of any judgment of what arises in the mind, and just knowing that from the perspective of your deeper nature, that sky-like deeper nature, a thought is just a thought. It doesn't matter what the content of the thought is. A thought is just a thought. It's a bit of sound, a bit of language that moves through the mind. It's like a mental event. And so again, just like a cloud cannot harm or affect the sky, no matter how scary or alarmist or dark or diabolical your thoughts sound, they can't touch you, they can't define you. It doesn't have to exert any influence over your behavior or your decisions at all. So when these dark thoughts arise, just see if you can have the sense of just seeing them for what they are. passing bits of noise arising in the vastness, the steadiness, and the depth of awareness, the depth of who you are. Your task is to simply see if you can stay present rather than getting lost in or carried away by those thoughts. Right? So we can use mindfulness, mindful awareness, to stay connected to that sky-like awareness and just witness whatever arises in the mind. And by the way, if you want to know more about how you can develop mindfulness, I will put my app, mindfulness.com, in the show notes so that you can access that if you want to develop that skill some more. Coming back here, I want to give you 3 really concrete tips now for dealing with dark and disturbing thoughts. Okay, so this is a summary. 1, just let go of that judgment. Like I was just saying, just let go of the idea that the mind should be any other way than how it is. Minds do what minds do. Dark clouds, fluffy white clouds, dark thoughts, pleasant thoughts. Just witness things as they are. Refrain from adding any extra layers on top of judging yourself, worrying about it. Just know that it's normal to have some dark thoughts, just normalizing it. There's nothing wrong with you. They arise and they pass in all of our minds sometimes. So let go of judgment. That's number 1. The second thing is make room for them. In other words, just accept that they're there. Don't struggle against the thoughts or try to shut them off or shut them down. And one of the reasons that we don't want to do this, we don't want to fight thoughts, drown them out, numb to them, or try to shut them off or get rid of them, because this causes what is known as the amplification effect, right? This is one of the most replicated studies in all of the field of psychology. The more you try to get rid of your negative thoughts, the more it amplifies them. It makes them louder and stay around longer. You can Google this. It's also known as the white bear effect. So it's a bit of a paradox, but resistance to trying to get rid of your negative thoughts makes them worse. Accepting them, just make room for it. You don't have to like them. You don't have to want them. But since they're there, just let them be and let go of resistance. By accepting them, paradoxically, this is actually going to make the thoughts less loud and it's going to make them pass more quickly. The third thing is to change your relationship to thoughts, right? Just as I was saying before, see if you can just view them as mental events. You don't have to, thoughts are not orders. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to buy into them. You don't have to play them out. Imagine, if a salesman came to your door, I might be showing my age here, but, when I was young, salesmen would always come to your door. They'd just knock on your door in the middle of the day and they'd have like encyclopedias or vacuums or makeup or perfume. They'd be trying to sell you a door-to-door salesman, right? They used to come, knock on your door and then just pitch you all these things that you need. Now, we open the door to that salesman, he's going to try and influence you and get you say all this stuff to you. But, imagine if you just bought into everything that he said, everything he sold you. You'd have a house full of junk, right? But you don't have to buy into it. You can just let him talk there, but you don't need to buy what he's selling. You can just let him blah, 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 talk away, and you can just go about your life with him talking on and on. You can stay focused on what you're doing in your life in the present moment. And just keep doing the things that matter to you, whether it's the work you need to do that day, connecting with loved ones, walking in nature, having a cup of tea, doing some errands. In other words, just don't buy into all of those thoughts. Don't take them so seriously. After all, they're just like that salesman that comes to the door every now and then. You have absolutely the choice to not buy into all that stuff and end up with a mind full of junk, right? Just let the thoughts come and go. Don't buy into them. So by changing our relationship with these dark or disturbing or really challenging thoughts, By not taking them so seriously or buying into them in this way, we really learn to become gradually more and more non-reactive, resilient, and grounded in presence and inner peace. We have more freedom and peace of mind. So again, let go of judgment, make room for those thoughts, just accept them, don't struggle against them, and change your relationship to the thoughts. Just view them as mental events. So these are some initial really helpful tips for those difficult thoughts. But if you want to work deeper on overcoming really unhelpful or unwanted thinking patterns, you can sign up now for the Deep Resilience Experience course waitlist, which will give you a much deeper dive into all the skills you need to really transform your relationships with thoughts and become mentally stronger. And if you join that waitlist, then you will be notified when the program launches. I hope these tips here are really helpful for you, and I wish you well with this. Feel free to let me know how it goes on social media. I always love hearing your stories, and my blessings to you for the week ahead, and I'll see you on the next episode. If you know someone who you think might benefit from listening to this episode, share it with them. Sharing it could really help them to feel better and improve the quality of their life. And if you found this episode helpful, remember to subscribe to this podcast so that you can receive more tips on growing your inner strength and keep practicing along with us every week. And if you'd like some more support in becoming mentally, emotionally, and spiritually stronger, come check out the offerings I have to support you on my website at mellyobrien.com. As well as coaching and course options, I also have a bunch of free resources for you, including a free Deep Resilience Care Package, which you can begin to use right away to get some immediate relief from stress and suffering, improve your resilience and mental well-being, and help you navigate whatever you're going through with more wisdom, skill, and confidence. You can find the links for all of that in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in. Take care and stay strong.